Adam Christ from MyMMAnews.com, being joined by Tyler El Tornado Goodjohn. He is off of his win in 2020 to 2021 now. He faced Charles Bennet at BKFC 15, and he left the promotion, and he has some words on his chest he wants to talk about. He wants to talk about his trip to America overall and just things he wants to discuss with everybody. Tyler, I appreciate you taking the time, my friend.
No worries. Thank you for having me on there.
Oh, it's my pleasure, man. First and foremost, you've become such a polarizing character and persona in combat sports. You're outspoken, you're comical, you're brash, you don't care what people think about you. No. Is that serving into your benefit as far as marketability in the combat sports world?
Oh yeah, 100%. It's no secret that you can be the best fighter in the world, but if you haven't got a certain amount of marketability behind you and everything else, what you see with me, I mean, it's not to everyone's taste, but it's it's pretty organic. It's not made up and stuff like that. When I fight, right from when I was a kid, I've always wanted to have a fight. I've always been the most entertaining on the shows, and yeah, I rate myself basically.
So you and Mark Godbeer, you came over. The British came over to America, and you guys had big things going on with BKFC, and obviously things happened with Mark, got COVID, and you eventually did get COVID, and we want to talk about that. But everything was marketing and building to be such a solid foundation. Where did it all fall apart?
I mean, no fault of our own. Like you say, me and Mark both got COVID. I think it was like 2.5 weeks out from the fight. I managed to get over it in time to be able to get a negative test and go fight. Mark was much worse than myself. He got double pneumonia in his lungs. He was in a bad way at the hospital. He was in a really bad way. So, and there was just, in the whole, I mean, I know it was very rushed in how me and Mark come out to USA. We had to go quarantine for 14 days in Dubai and everything else. So it was all very rushed in that. But there was just a lot of promises that were made, and not many that were kept, basically. A lot of help with expenses, obviously, through the Dubai trip, and training and places to live and everything else when we got to America. So, it sort of happened there because, obviously I got to fight Mark out of his own pocket, done the whole Dubai thing, got to America, pretty much got to the fight, then got COVID. So he hadn't made any money at all. But he spoke to Dave Feldman himself, and Dave promised him that he'd help him out and everything else. So, it's just a lot of promises that were made.
And you've not been shy to let your feelings be known about BKFC and particularly Dave Feldman himself. Where does that disdain come from? Like you particularly have a disdain for him particularly. Why is that?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a mad fighter. I've been fighting 20 years. I think, especially bare-knuckle fighters, I think we're all pretty damaged individuals. And the way that David Feldman is just, like, I have a real problem with disrespect. I'm the nicest person in the world and everything else, but I just don't like disrespect. And I feel like when I went to, like I say, I was promised a lot of things. I dropped everything to come to America. I was going through court cases to see my kids. I had a business that went bust while I was out in America. I was going through a lot. Do you know what I mean? I'd even broken my jaw 2 months before. Yeah, 2 months before I left to go to Dubai to come to fight America. I broke the jaw on both sides and had plates put in. I dropped a lot to come out there. And he was, and like I say, he's just very disrespectful in that he would promise the world and deliver nothing. Do you know what I mean? I even messaged him on Christmas Day. I know it's a tiny thing, but like I say, you know, these damaged fighters just want a bit of. I just want a bit of respect from my promoter. Do you know what I mean? I'll do the hard work. I'll get in the ring and do all the blood, sweat, and tears. Do you know what I mean? Just a bit of respect. And I messaged him on Christmas Day and just said, happy Christmas Day to you and all your family. Sending all my love, well wishes. Thanks for putting me on the show, everything else. And like it's a small thing, but he sees the message and he never even messages me back. And I just thought, you know what? Little things like that is just, and then he just massively just turned into a prick, fucked me about with my pay, give me every excuse under the sun why I hadn't been paid yet, and all that. So just little small inklings of things like that. Do you know what I mean? You go with your instincts and go, actually, this motherfucker thinks he's special or something because he's not giving any of his fighters that little bit of respect that we deserve. Do you know what I mean? Just so I message back and go, do you know what? Yeah, thanks for making it over or whatever. That may seem really small and insignificant to a lot of people, but for people who get in the ring and risk their life every time like we do, I feel like we deserve that little bit of respect. And then all the stuff with the payment and all that. I mean, what can you say? I was pulled through that for a good few weeks. Once BKFC threw me under the bus and come out with saying that actually I had been paid when I hadn't been. So they were lying about that, and I got pulled through the dirt by all the BKFC fans. Yeah, so it didn't end how I wanted it to. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. And it seemed to be like the tip of the iceberg was the whole Paige Van Zandt deal and seeing the treatment there. Now, my biggest question there is, as far as her notoriety, I mean, she's going to bring the faces and the new fans and the new people so, I mean, it is going to bring the money in. So to that business avenue, I would expect you can understand that. But from the pure aspect of the fighters aspect, that, that are just sheer fighters, period, point blank, it can be frustrating.
Yeah. No, but I completely understand why they did it and everything else, and to bring it more commercial, whatever, with all her Instagram followers, all that kind of stuff. The beautiful blonde girl. I understand why they did it, but it backfired because she couldn't back it up. Do you know what I mean? Get someone who talks it and does everything, but can also back it up, because this is bare knuckle boxing. This isn't any other sport. And that showed, because she was, from what I gather, a good UFC fighter. There was a lot of hype and everything else. I don't know if the payment was true or whatever. If it is, it's ridiculous. But it's just, the marketing team there have gone full ball with, let's get a pretty blonde girl who's got a monster following on Instagram. That'll bring loads of fight. But actually, you need people who can fight bare knuckle, because this is a different ball game.
And I do want to revert back to you, but I want to talk about a friendship that you made in America that this Paige Van Zandt deal could work out for, with your friend Christine Faria. She's already beaten Britain Hart, and she's made it 100% vocal that she wants Paige Van Zandt. Do you think this might has opened the door for somebody like Christine? Because, I mean, she might not have gotten the opportunity for this next big payday, potentially. Just, it does open up the doors for some people and others. But again, like I said, I do understand your frustration. But again, with somebody like Christine, do you see somebody like her, it paying dividends off in the long run?
I do. But at the same time, like Christine, now Paige Van Zandt's gone and got beat. That opens the door to fight for Christine to fight. I think Christine's number one. I feel like she's a bad bitch. You know what I mean?
She's an animal.
Yeah, like I think she'd absolutely smash Paige, make easy work of Paige Van Zandt. So, I mean, I know Christine's a hard-working pro. I know that she'll do or fight whoever she has to fight to get to where she has to go. But yeah, you know, for me, Christine is the number one out there. Paige Van Zandt, where did she go? I mean, I don't know. So we'll see. I think she was saying that she wasn't going to fight again anyway. So yeah, we'll find out, I suppose.
So let's talk about your career, and you've made it 100% clear that you have no aspirations to go back to BKB or BKFC. And you've also mentioned that you're talking about bringing up a promotion with your buddy, Mark Godbeer. Can you discuss anything about any three of those avenues? Because you've said you don't want to go down two of them, and you're opening one. So what about your fighting future?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm 29. I still want to fight. I'm, you know, as far as I'm concerned, I'm coming into my peak now. Um, I didn't get to show the American public the very best of me in that last fight. You know, I showed bits, but it was, you know, under the circumstances. Didn't have my trainer. I had COVID like 2 weeks before, whatever. Like, you know, I didn't, you know, I was disappointed that I didn't get to show my full potential, but it is what it is. But yeah, you know, I'm always going to want to fight, no matter if I retire 6 months down the line, I'm itching to fight again. That's me. I mean, I've tried to walk away from the fight game so many times, but it just drags you back in. Basically.
And you know what I find interesting about I don't even want to say predicament, but the the situation that you're in right now is because, like you said, you're a little bit upset because you said you didn't give your best or leave the best impression with the fans from your America trip. But my takeaway from that is you got a win over Charles Crazy Horse Bennet, or Felony, whatever he wants to go by nowadays. And then now it just leaves the fans wanting more because you've become more vocal. You've become more popularized. I mean, your campaign is just overflowing now. So if anything, I feel like it gains more fans to wonder what's going to be next and linger onto that and dwell onto what's going to be next. So I think that's a good problem to have.
Yeah, I think obviously the problem I'm having at the minute is that, you know, with COVID, nothing's really open.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? No real sports shows are open. I mean, I know there's a bit going on, but you know, nothing compared to usual. So once things hopefully get back to normal and that, like I say, a lot more things are going to open up, and hopefully I'll get some good offers. You know, I'm an entertainer. You know, I will fight anyone. Um, and yeah, and I'll entertain you all the way through and after, you know, in the fight and after. So you know, people can say what they want about me, but I feel like I've got that star quality. When I get in the ring, I feel like I do it better than what you see a lot of. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So some of the full stories from America that the fans didn't fully get to capture, I want to talk about some of the nitty gritty, man, that you can get off your chest now that you have a platform that you can just get it off your chest right now. What's some of the best takeaways from America, my man?
Best takeaway. Do you know what? I was just sort of like, I'm one of them people. I'm always trying to keep it healthy. You know what I mean? I'm always trying to keep eating pretty healthy, but my go-to is pizza. So I'm just like, you know what I mean? I'll get whatever pizza. I mean, it has to be stuffed crust, but yeah, I'm a pizza guy.
Yeah.
I'm actually having waffles and that tonight. I mean, I'm from like the arse end of nowhere in the country in England. And then one of my friends has found out that there's like a Waffle House type thing. So we're trying that out tonight. That's like the big, whoa, oh my God, there's a Waffle House. That's the big news of where I am at the minute. Yeah, from the bright lights of Vegas to Sutton, Cambridgeshire.
There has to be a little bit more to the stories because, and I'm not prying, but I'm sort of prying because now the headlines are former pro boxer turned porn star. I'd say that's a little clickbaity, a little bit much as far as porn star. I mean, are you Are you getting into that adult industry, like with talks of like the bigger heads of it?
I've sort of like, so that all come about as a bit of a like everyone. I've done like scenes with girls and that on OnlyFans
Yeah, I've
and
seen. Well, I've heard about the OnlyFans. Sorry.
and like there's I'm always with a porn star really. I just a lot of my friends are porn stars. My ex girlfriend's a porn star. Um, So it just sort of come about like that. But yeah, I do. I mean, I'm going to be doing a scene with two girls tomorrow, just for OnlyFans. So I do all my OnlyFans stuff. So, but in terms of like studio work, obviously nothing's open at the minute with COVID. So
Do you find it easier to be your own manager per se with like an OnlyFans instead of having like the
yeah,
producers behind the
I
scene?
mean, with me, to be fair, like yeah, I'm better off selling my own stuff. Where I've got a name and everything else, I'm better off selling my own stuff and making the money anyway. You know, if I went and done it for a studio, I'd only be on a flat rate, and then I wouldn't, I'd make nothing else more off that anyway. So, but yeah, no, it's an interesting industry. Like I say, a lot of my friends are in it, and I've had ex partners and everything else. So I've learned a lot about it. So. Um, Yeah, it's an interesting industry.
So before we switch gears, because I see that joint in your hand, which is going to take me to my next avenue of the interview. There we are. I wanted to ask you, obviously COVID's going on. It's a pain for everybody, but do you have an idea of when you'd like to fight next?
I mean, whenever I get the call, really, it's just like a matter of like, you know what I mean? I like nothing more than having a fight to look forward to train for and everything else. It's that's when I'm my happiest. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, but that being said, it's just it's it's a financial situation now. I mean, with that last fight cost me, like I say, with all the promises that are made with expenses and flights and everything else, it's cost me way more to go out there and fight than it is than I am. Do you know what I mean? So I'm in a situation where I need to build myself back up, and with COVID, I can't work and everything else. So um, yeah, I'm open to fights, but still, I know my worth. I'm only going to fight if it's, in my opinion, worthwhile.
Mm. And like you said, you just said that's when you're happiest. Not fighting or not having a fight to look forward to. Has it taken a toll on you mentally at all? Just because, I mean, I can imagine it's almost like therapy for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, every single fighter. I mean, my good friend Mark Godbeer. We spent like 8-9 weeks with each other in hotels, training with each other and everything else. And it came very clear that the whole mental health, we both struggled with mental health and everything else. And use fighting as a way to, I suppose, contain it or whatever. But yeah, it's interesting. I think it's something that most fighters will tell you. Yeah, helps their mental health or whatever. It's I like having a goal and a routine. And once I go out of that routine, like now, I get up at whenever I want and stuff like that. I enjoy having that routine. It's almost like a bit like a soldier's life type thing, really.
Mm.
You sort of come out and then.
And taking it what you just said, a soldier's life, it makes so much sense because I was going to say you have that routine that you're going through, and you can mimic it in the training room. You can spar for days, but that I would imagine that when the lights are on you and when the fans, and it's almost like that stadium, that primal feel, that's where the pure therapy comes from. I would imagine.
Oh yeah, it's like it's the best. It's the best, but like you'll never match that feeling. Even like when it gets to fight week and you just like you start thinking back to all your other fights and the feeling you had and everything else, and it's just an absolute roller coaster, right from like the weigh in when you first you sit there with your opponent and that, right to like when you're warming up in the change rooms, and then I've been on like big sky shows back home and where there's like 12, 15,000 people in the O2 London, and the guy comes in and goes, right, Tyler, you ready? You ready for the walk like that? And you're like, we're ready for it. It's time to go now, and that's when it's real. Do you know what I mean? And then you come past that curtain, boom, there's like 15,000 people there, and you're like, wow. That's when
That has to be
real.
an absolute, yeah.
Yeah.
And at that point, there's just no going back. It can't be replaceable.
Nah.
And man, I can only imagine, man. But switching gears real quick with what you got in your hand right there, that medical marijuana, if you will. Now, like I've told you, I'm a medical patient myself in the state of Delaware. So I like to discuss with fighters why and how they got into the avenue of cannabis, because I'm open to discuss it with anybody that wants to hear it. Like, I've had my issues and struggles, mental health, everything like that. And when the doctors that I was seeing would suggest other stuff that would potentially be habit forming, something not cannabis, it was red flags for me. Then when I pushed for cannabis and finally was able to get my medical cannabis card, my life changed. And it not only changed, but it changed ultimately for the better. My mind became clear. I was happier than I've ever been. So talking to fighters on the regular and then having that gear shift for me, I love talking to fighters that utilize cannabis and what it does for them. So if I can ask, when and why did you start smoking?
I started smoking probably less than a year ago.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I was introduced to it by a partner, and I'll be honest, it just changed my life. Like I say, I was going through a very hard time I've been going through a lot of hard time with. I have kids that I don't see and everything else. I've been to a lot of therapy. I've been taking a lot of tablets that have been prescribed to me and everything else. And to be honest, I drunk quite a bit, and just the whole fighter's lifestyle, rock and roll lifestyle. I was drinking a lot, I was partying a lot, and yeah, I just a partner of mine she's sort of been through it all as well with the drink and everything else, and found smoking, and it just it doesn't stop me from doing anything. If anything, I train, I go do CrossFit, I smoke, and people can't get their head around that. I say, well, I'll go do CrossFit a little bit higher and I'll smash it. The way I can just focus or seem to focus is incredible. You know what I mean? I try to explain this to people, and I'm like, you don't have to believe me if you don't want to, but I've got a trainer there, and I'll tell him I've been smoking today, and he'll be like, wow. So,
and I do believe it's one of those things where, obviously with medicine's going to affect people in different ways. So some people may not get it, but the people that do get it, it's very difficult to explain, and it's very difficult for people to understand. But for the people it does work for, when you actually are able to just sit there and critique every little aspect of even just throwing a 1-2 combination. And the analytics that'll run through your head of just that simple combination it'll have like the average mind, their head exploding. But you get exactly what I'm talking about when I say that, because it makes your mind do different things that it might not have before. Now, I was also a heavy drinker myself, and I'm coming up on 4 years not drinking. So I'm curious, does it curve your drinking at all?
Oh yeah, completely. I have a beer now and again, but when I have a smoke, I don't want to drink. I just want to. I'm content. I'm just. Do you know what? Like I say, I've got a lot of things going on in my life, and I feel like when I smoke, I told this to my mum actually. I said, "Do you know what? When I smoke, it makes me just take a step back and just have a look, and I don't rush in with anything. It makes me have a look, and in fact, I go, do you know what? Why am I worrying about this? Yeah, why am I using all this energy worrying about this? I shouldn't be. Like, and it just allows me to take a step back.
So I want to get into Larry Lemonstein. When you first experienced that over here in the US, I've never actually had that strain. I've been an active user for quite a bit. One of my biggest strains that I'm a huge fan of is Green Crack. Have you ever tried it?
I've not. No, I
Okay.
haven't.
Now,
To be honest, no.
I'm gonna have to ask you this, Larry Lemonstein. What was it like that was so much different in your experience than other buds you might have tried?
You know what I loved about obviously being in, but it was just I was like a kid in a candy shop, walking in the dispensary, and then obviously you'd have like someone beside you telling you all about the weed you were looking at on the walls like that. You could view the THC. I'm very much like I say, when I go to train, I like to smoke sativa. So a very like uplifting, motivational weed, which it does. You know, again, I can try and explain it to someone who doesn't smoke and they wouldn't get it, but there are weeds that are designed to make it very uplifting, very motivational. And I'll go train, and then at night bring out the Larry Lemonstein, where you just want to get battered and just fall asleep. And yeah, the higher THC, it was like 32 percent THC or something, which is very high. Um, and yeah, it's just great. Just make a great sleep, wake up, and I'm ready to train again. Do you know what I mean? I don't
Yeah.
know. It's not like I'm waking up with a hangover or anything like that. Most times, I mean, to be honest, look, this is when I got COVID. I literally, Mark Godbeer isn't a smoker. I'm a smoker. I just literally laid in my hotel bed. I smoked, and I just got so much sleep that I think that was what I managed. You know, I managed to still fight. I had this COVID. I was very ill. I had flu-like symptoms, a fever. I was aching and everything else. But I was literally just smoking, sleeping, and wait, I still managed to fight. So,
Man. So is your favorite way to intake, is it smoking joints?
yeah, I
Yeah.
just like the cones, just raw cones, just blunt.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, just full
Simple and
weed. Yeah,
easy. Yeah.
yeah.
Now, what's one of your main things that you like to do just to wind down when you do smoke? Some people like to listen to music. Some people like to, just watch movies
Yeah.
that could be half baked. Anything Pineapple Express. What's something that El Tornado likes to do?
I just like having a few of my friends, bit of music on, and we just talk. It's just like I love to like. I mean, I'm a bit high now. I love to talk. You know what I mean? I can talk forever. You'll have to shut me up. But yeah, I, I just like learning things and that as well. Just finding out about people and that. Um, but yeah, bit of music with friends, just talking all night. What can be better than that? You know what I mean? That's what I love.
Now, with now that I'm getting to see you when you're just a little bit medicated, a little bit stoned, it's a lot more of the calm Tyler Goodjohn.
Yeah,
I'm getting a little bit more of the just raw personality instead of the amped up in your face, that brash fighter, the Tyler
yeah,
Goodjohn that a lot of
yeah,
people are so used to seeing, right?
yeah.
So it's such a crazy turn on and off. So do you think that you might be just a little bit misunderstood as far as just when you're just speaking so brashly and so this guy, the fucking cunt, this, that, and just the third.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
think you're misunderstood by a bit?
I don't think I'm misunderstood in the fact that yeah, like I'm one of them people that look if you're nice to me, I'm nice to you. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like whoever you are, like in this life. Do you know what I mean? And well, that's how my mum and dad brought me up, and I like to think that I have a lot of morals and principles, and I just feel like I go off on one that people that don't you know, like I say, a lot of promises, a lot of, you know, a lot of talk, and didn't back any of it up. And I think you know, if you're nothing, if you're not a man, if you ain't got your word. Do you know what I mean?
Now, with your fighting career, obviously we've talked about it. Is there any chance of repairing a relationship with either BKB, BKFC, just because with the names of what they're doing with bare knuckle fighting, would you be willing to bygones be bygones for either?
I would never ever have anything to do with BKB in the UK. BKFC, I mean, from a purely business point of view, look, they've got me for another 3 fights on my contract. So I'm willing to fulfill my contract as long as I don't have to deal with David Feldman or my ex-manager. I just, you know, there's a lot of other things that will have to be cleared up. I mean, like I say, just cutting the bullshit basically, and getting a lot of stuff written down. And because, to be honest with you, mate, I don't think there's anyone else like me in that sport. And if they want that sport to go places, they're gonna have to breed superstars. You know, like what they're doing now, they're trying to get like old has-been UFC fighters, and you know, like the Instagram girls from UFC who don't want to do it anymore. They're trying to pay them into, you know, making them into superstars. Why not make superstars from these bare knuckle guys? Like, you know, I'm a proven bare knuckle fighter. I was a good professional glove champion, but I'm in my opinion the best bare knuckle fighter out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So why
with
not
an
make
illustrious
superstars?
history with a great bare knuckle fighter himself. I mean, with you guys' history over there in the UK. I mean, it is proven, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah. So, you know, it's just that, you know, like you say, like we said earlier, I understand why they signed Paige Van Zandt, but it's just like, you know, it's very cliche almost. Do you know what I mean? The pretty blonde, let's bring her in, yeah, because everyone will be drawn to it because, you know, she's on Instagram, da 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 da. Let's make superstars out of our own, like Christine Ferrer, for example. You know, that girl is a beast. Do you know what I mean? She's a very hard worker. You know, we should be putting her up, saying like, look at her, look, she's a beast. Do you know what I mean? She's a proven bare knuckle fighter. She's not a Instagram model. I mean, that Paige Van Zandt even messaged me after she fought, an emoji with money coming out of her mouth, and there were guys dancing with money in that, and it's just like, and I just put, do you know what, sweetheart? Like, yeah, you may have got the money, but you didn't get the respect. Do you know what I mean? That's if that's what we're dealing with now, we're dealing with people coming in, pocketing all that money, and then being like, I'm not going to do this anymore. Like I say, it deserves to go to hard fighters like Christine and Britain Hart and people like that. You know, they deserve the promotion. Do you know what I mean? They deserve the promotion, not these people.
And you think with the wins, like Britain just got over Paige Van Zandt, that Christine has over Britain, you know what I mean? I think it only bolsters their career and leads to bigger things for them, just in my humble opinion. So I am eager to see what happens with Christine. And I've actually, before Knuckle Mania, I interviewed Dave Feldman, and I mentioned Christine just because she is such a savage. And she has the Police Gazette belt. And I mean, she's beat Britain. I mean, I can repeat myself for days, but yeah, like you said, Christine's an absolute animal and deserves the respect that she gets. My question is to you, if everything in a perfect world gets back to what it needs to, you don't have to deal with, you know, David if you don't want to, but you get back in the graces, you get back in the BKFC squared circle. Is there anybody you want to finish your contract with? Anybody you want to fight next that's in BKFC that just intrigues you, wakes you up, makes you want to train?
Well, I think the fight is me and Palomino in Miami, isn't it? Like, you know, that I've gone. You know, I'm like I said earlier, I'm a man of my word, right? I jumped in that ring in Miami. I come out there. I've been in America 2 weeks. I jumped in the ring. I tore the microphone from the guy who just won a world title and told him that now he's won the chance to fight a real man, right? I didn't do that to mess about. I done that to I done that because I believe that. Do you know what I mean? And I will fight him in Miami, and I will beat him in Miami. Like I say, I didn't just do it for the fun of it. I meant every word I said. So if they want a superstar fight for down the line in Miami between me and Palomino, ring me up, give me the respect I deserve and what I deserve, and we'll do it.
I love it, man. Well, I'm going to let you go on that one, man. It's been a pleasure to talk. Hopefully we got to clear up some of the air that you wanted to discuss as far as your future, your trip to America, and what we can expect in the future, man. Because like we said, you're definitely a persona, you're a personality, you're a character. And not only that, but you have the skills to back it up. So that just, it proves that's the proof in the pudding that a lot of people might miss as far as where they might hit in their career, but they might miss, but you have it all. And I just want to see it come to fruition, man. And I'm glad we got a chance to talk about it. And I hope to talk again in the future.
I appreciate it a lot, man. Thank you for the time.
All right, there he goes, Tyler Goodjohn, getting some clearing the air a little bit of his relationships with the BKFC family, how he likes to utilize the cannabis plant, just like we all do. It's 2021. Get rid of the stigma. We talk to our guy in the future. For Tyler Goodjohn, I am Adam Christ. Make sure you keep it locked to MyMMAnews.com for all your fight news needs.